Hello, Diane. I'm
Hello,
s-
Maurizio.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's an honor. Yes, yes, it is an honor, and I'm really thrilled to welcome here Diane Kochilas. You are an acclaimed Greek American chef, cookbook author, and culinary educator. Such a responsibility, and you can say that you are a leading authority in Greek and Mediterranean cuisine, aren't you?
I think so.
Yes, and
Eh,
you wrote more than 18 celebrated cookbooks, including The Glorious Foods of Greece and Ikaria, which is not, a case. And you are an award-winning PBS series, My Greek Table, and very many other things that I let you introduce. So, but let's start with the reason why you started to enlighten people about the importance of Greek and Mediterranean cuisine.
because it's very healthy. It's also the food I grew up with,
Mhm.
even in New York City. Greek food is a lot of it is plant-based, and that is something that is good from every perspective. It's good for the planet to eat more plant-based foods. It's good for our bodies. It's good for aging. Uh, you know, it's lighter, it's healthier. So my focus has always been on eating as healthily as possible, and of course, olive oil is a big part of that. And Greek cuisine, I think, has a lot of lessons that can be applied universally.
Really.
It's also delicious.
It's also delicious, and
Yeah.
it helps very much, to feel the life and to feel happy and to feel the everyday like something special, in my opinion. And talking about that, I'd like to dig with you in something I find very fascinating, which is the invisible. And I've been in Ikaria, and I know that Ikaria is full of invisible things, secrets. I would call it secrets, and in these invisible things, also there are millions of bees flying around. So why bees are so important in life and in long life and in Ikaria especially?
I don't know if I would call bees in Ikaria invisible because they're everywhere.
Mhm.
The island has a very rich flora, so there's a lot of, you know, seasonal flowers and other things that the bees feed off of to produce really great honey. That's almost always, that's, I think on Ikaria, always raw honey. And a lot of, as you drive around the island, especially in this, between, say, around this time of year when things start to blossom in the spring, until the fall when other things are coming into season. Everywhere you look on Ikaria, you see those clusters of boxes, which are the beehives. So it's a pretty important part of the diet, honey, and not only honey, but all of the products that bees make. And Icarians also have this very long-standing living tradition of um, looking to nature for various remedies or for like the therapeutic value of herbs for infusions and teas, and honey also plays a part in that. But a lot of people in Ikaria, besides having honey in their cupboards, in their kitchens all the time, sometimes older people will tell you that they eat a teaspoon of honey every day, and that's one of their secrets to longevity. Together, sometimes with a teaspoon of olive oil, another, longevity secret. But honey is not the only thing that Icarians appreciate that bees produce. So we always have a little propolis. We have royal jelly sometimes in our cupboards. We use those things in our daily lives because we live close to nature, so we understand the gifts that nature has to give us.
And do you use these products for your daily cuisine, for your daily cooking? I mean,
For my cuisine.
yeah, I mean, yes. If
I use
you
honey a
honey,
lot.
I remember a lamb.
I use honey a lot. Yeah, I use honey a lot. I mean, when you cook with honey, the heat changes it. So if you're going to heat honey, and that even applies for using it and mixing it into, say, a hot herbal tea, I'm pretty sure you lose a lot of the nutrients in honey when you heat it, but it certainly adds great flavor. And I use honey a lot in and even in, say, in raw too, and say in dressings, in, sauces that I pour over things. In sweets, we use honey in sweets in Ikaria. Um, and I'll mix it, say, with tahini, which is the sesame paste, and that's oftentimes my breakfast, a little tahini and honey, and maybe an apple or a piece of seasonal fruit and some nuts. So yeah, we use it. I use it a lot. I always have honey, Ikarian honey.
And you're very many things. You are an author, you're a TV host, but you are also a very caring mother. So which is the most important part of Diane, in especially in the way in which you express daily yourself cooking, which is I know something you do every day.
Come on, Maurizio, you're Italian. What do you think the answer to that's going to be?
Want to hear it? I
Mama,
want to hear it from your point of view.
mama, mama.
And yeah, and you know why I'm asking this? Because, I believe that there is something absolutely talking about bees, absolutely crucial, which is how we care about the people, how we care about each other, and how we care about the community. And the sense of community that I saw in Ikaria, thinking about how the bees, live their lives is very impressive. Ikaria is a blue zone, and not because of this, because blue zone is essentially, a very abstract concept. But I don't know why, but the people in Ikaria live in a different way. They have a more clear, how can I say, way of living together. So can you tell me why this happened?
Look, historically, Gadia has always been isolated. So what evolved there was it was always also a place of exile. So the island, people on the island came into contact with people with alternative points of view, because who's exiled? People who are politically threatening, people who threaten the status quo, who have ideas that are unsettling, whatever. So Ikaria is typically very left of center. It's always been very, very poor, very isolated. Um, in many ways, it's matriarchal because the men, even to this day, have generally one of the main professions is the merchant marines. So women were on their own for big chunks of time during the course of the year. Um, so I think, the sense of community in Ikaria evolved because, how can I put this? Unlike the present moment where it seems like the whole planet is at each other's throats, in Ikaria, I think people understand historically that if you are in constant competition with your next door neighbor, that's not a recipe for survival, that's a recipe for self-destruction. You're stuck in a place together. If you don't get along, nobody wins.
Mhm.
And I don't think that was conscious. I think that was just how it evolved. You're in this small place together. There was always, a very strong sense of solidarity. I even see that in Ikarian communities outside of the island. I mean, I grew up in New York City. I was always very tuned into the Ikarian community in New York when I was a kid. Those were my friends. My kids are friends with my friends' kids. You know, there's this multi-generational relationship that crosses national boundaries too. And we always know what's going on the island, you know, from the weather. I mean, I have people asking me in New York, you know, about the rains in Ikaria, you know.
Mhm.
So um, there's a very strong connection. And I think that that connection is partially because the island has been so isolated historically, partially because it has been exposed to different sorts of ideas, partially because it's been so poor, so people help each other just by, you know, to survive. And, you know, that sense of community is very, very deep. Um,
And
yeah,
does it start? Does it still exist nowadays? In
it's definitely changing, but I think it still exists. It's, you know, it's now the world is small, right? Everyone in the world knows about Ikaria. So we have people visiting us from all over the place.
I know.
And that brings other, yeah, that
And
brings
one of
other
these,
influences. Yeah, other influences. But you know, people who come to Ikaria are also like-minded. They don't go to Ikaria because they want to find Mykonos. They go to Ikaria because they want to find some peace.
yeah, not only,
Um,
I don't think only peace, and I can tell this also from my personal experience, my personal point of view. I believe that there is a different kind of energy, which is not
there
necessarily
is.
evil. It is powerful. It is a powerful energy, and it doesn't have anything to do with the energy of Mykonos and all. And I think it is unique. But
It is. I think so too. I mean, it's also something that we also carry with us. I mean, I carry that in my DNA too. I don't know. Uh, you don't let too much bother you. You're forgiving. Let it roll off your back because then otherwise you get stress.
yes. And if I tell you, let the food be the medicine and the medicine be the food, what will come in your mind?
What comes to my mind is that we still have a very deep knowledge of many of the therapeutic values of foods and plants, and those that wisdom, that ancient knowledge is also now corroborated by science. So there's a whole movement now, you know, functional foods, and you know, it's very in the United States, it's a very big movement. But in Greece, a lot of that has just sort of taps into ancient notions of eating. Um, And that's not to say, I mean, the diet has definitely changed here. Greeks are the biggest meat eaters in the EU, and
Sure.
you know, people still smoke a lot, they still drink a lot, you know, whatever. But I think there is a sense of food, the values of, you know, the value of food that goes beyond just the nutritional value, that there are certain types of foods that are good for our mental health, are good for our cognitive health, are good for inflammation. And the Greek diet, I mean, you're Italian, the Mediterranean diet generally has all of those elements,
You are Italian too, somehow.
a little bit.
And anyway, Hippocrates said that I think some 100 years before Christ, something like that, if I'm not wrong. And the United Nations now are promoting a concept which is very interesting, which is the concept of One Health. And One Health is the idea that the health of people, animals, and plants and the environment are deeply connected. And I think it is really interesting. And I believe that this in Ikaria is very clear. Everything is very
Yeah,
connected in a concept of well-being.
I think everything is connected. I mean, that was also a very ancient Greek concept too, and there were some very famous philosophers in ancient Greece who espoused the plant-based, not a diet that didn't include any animal products. And that was for both physical clarity or physical purity, but also ethical. So that's all, that's been around a long time as a concept. And I think now, given the world that we live in, where we're literally connected, just the fact that you and I can talk in different countries at the same moment and see each other. Um, I think that it, hopefully we'll finally understand that and start acting a little bit more humanely toward each other. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Diane, we are sharing many things. We are sharing the love for food, we are sharing the love for your country, and we are sharing also an incredible and ambitious project, which is Buzz of Transformation. And with that, and with a team, a collective of filmmakers, awarded, filmmakers from all over the world, we want to tell stories of how ordinary people are making extraordinary things through the help of this little animal, the bees. And I have a question for you about that. Why do you think today it is so radically important, even urgent, I would say, to tell stories like these? Stories that doesn't just document the present, but create a legacy of hope and wisdom for a better future.
I think it's very important to tell those stories because we live in a time when, uh,
Go ahead.
we live in a time when the world is upside down and people people are manipulated by the news media because of the way that technology works, and we're directed or things are directed at us in ways that are so insidious and and invisible, as you say, um, that basically keep us misinformed um, and keep us unable to really have opinions that are balanced, that are based on some sort of balance of information. Both information that we naturally gravitate to because that's our point of view, and information that might be a foreign point of view to us, whatever that might be. And I think it's really important, if there's one thing that bees teach us, it's that you only survive if you collaborate. And that is, probably the most important lesson that we should be embracing with lightning speed at this moment in time when we're so threatened by everything from climate change to insane world leaders.
Yeah, I understand your point, and
Yeah.
these are an incredible lesson, because they are a super organism. Essentially, it's like one bee is like the whole hive.
Hmm.
So they don't have to fight for the surviving of the individual, but they have to keep and support the surviving of the whole hive as the critical goal, for all of them. And obviously, the trust, the respect, and the collaboration are values that have to be part of that when you are a real community. And I understand your point, and it is caring somehow, but we strongly know that nature is our life and we are nature, and we have to learn by nature how to survive and how to live better. And I do believe that we can still be full of hope, and we do have thousands of years of wisdom we can look at to keep, our humanity alive.
I'm an optimist by nature.
I know that. And now everybody knows that. All right. So thank you very much. It was very nice to have you with us. And we're, I mean, I'm looking forward to meet you again in Ikaria, maybe shooting some,
Anytime, Maurizio. Anytime.
maybe shooting some very interesting stories about happiness and life with bees. Okay?
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, Diane.
Ciao.